Hello, Gov Seekers. What is up? Thank you, Alex Das Liebe. Are you ready to be bummed out? I am. Yay! Who wants to be bummed out? I do. Oh, folks, we have an action-packed story for you. We've got ways to keep Americans in debt, and we've got a bomb that we dropped and by mistake. It's a tale as old. This should be a kid show. We should have puppets and stuff. It should be a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody watching and in the chat. We appreciate it. As always, if you're watching on Lee Camp's YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to mine. And if you're watching on mine, make sure you're subscribed to both of ours. Even if you've done that in the past, make sure you hit the bell notification button. That helps all of our things. And of course, those of you watching over on Rockfin, good to have you. Let's, Alex Das Liebe is one of our moderators. So don't say something stupid. You'll get banned. And we've never unbanned anybody in the history of everything. And also, look at that Government Secrets mug. You can only get that at patreon.com/government secrets, where you can get over 60 bonus segments. We will be doing one again live today, but you don't have to watch it live. They're there. So let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. It's now time for Government Secrets episode 166 with the two most censored comedians in America, Lee Camp and Camp Elwood.
Hey, man. You know, it's kind of amazing. You always start at 3 minutes after the hour like clockwork, which I think we should change the time of the show to 3 minutes after the hour.
Nope.
Then you'd show up at 6 minutes after.
We were doing the show at 12:03, 12:06. I say 12, and then people can kind of get in the start. You know what I mean?
Get in the mood. They got to get in those yoga positions.
Yeah. It's like a stand-up show. It says 8, but usually you start at 8:05 once everybody's sat. You know what I mean?
I don't know if you're excited. I think you should be. Tomorrow, big day. Big day.
What's tomorrow?
300 days of genocide, man.
Oh,
very exciting.
Oh, God.
I've got birthday favors, treats of all kinds.
Oh, God.
Some genocider I'm going to hand out.
Genocider?
Yeah. Hot cups of genocider. I'm going to give people 300 days of genocide tomorrow. Very exciting.
Just 300? Or
just 300?
Oh. Well, that's exciting. I
thought you said you were ready to be bummed out, Graham. You don't seem very ready.
No, this is part of being ready. I'm just going, oh man, like that's part of the excitement of the bumming out. Is
just letting the bummage wash over you.
Let the bummage kind of punch you in the stomach and go, oh, like you ate a bad meal. It's good stuff. We should let everybody know this is our we're going to take a little break but we're both going to be traveling throughout August. So enjoy it.
Last episode for about 12 and a half years. So no, it is our last episode for a month though.
For a month, but we will be releasing, I have the audio and the video from the live show we did in Los Angeles. So we'll probably release that in about a week or two. So you will get something while we're gone. You'll get to enjoy the live show, which was a blast. We will release the audio and the video. The video's just one kind of lockdown camera, but you can watch the show and have fun. And then we'll release the audio from it. So it's a good show. If you haven't been to a live Government Secrets, it's something you should do.
Then you haven't really lived because you haven't been to a live show.
And we've done like 5 of them, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. I think 5.
2 in LA, Stockholm, Berlin, London.
Yep. 5
Government Secret shows. Outstanding. And our next one, we don't know. We don't know.
Our next one is in Thailand.
Yes. Yeah, I will be in Thailand for 3 weeks. I'm actually headlining the Comedy Joint on Khao San Road, which if you go to grahamelwood.com.
It sounds like you're making this up. There's a Thailand Comedy Joint?
Yeah, the comedy joint time. There's a whole like circuit now I'm finding of English speaking expat like rooms or even full on clubs throughout Southeast Asia
Okay, nice.
because Westerners are fleeing their collapsing countries.
The collapsing empire is sending
Yes.
people out into the world. Yeah,
People out into the world. So
yeah, just spooging. We're just spooging
Yep.
Americans everywhere across the globe, and a lot of people are not happy about it.
I don't blame them. So I'm going there as a Buddhist vegetarian who's going to try to embrace the culture as best I can and not be a, where's the McDonald's? Like,
You're not gonna go, where's the McDonald's vegan meat?
yeah, I'm not going to go to McDonald's while I'm in Thailand. I will not do that. I don't go to the McDonald's in America. Why would I go abroad? So,
Very true.
I feel like your story might be more of a bummer, but I don't know. I don't think either one of our stories have really a lot of death and destruction. I mean, mine has the hint of it.
I've got zero death in mind, just debt slavery is all I got.
I've got the fun of debt slavery.
This is my upbeat story. Zero death.
This is the water park slide of government secret stories.
I mean, I guess I can't. I assume there must be some people that have killed themselves due to student loan debt. So maybe some death.
Oh, whew, good.
Woo!
Thank God.
Thank God that was close.
I would have been if there was none.
Almost did a story with no death and destruction.
Yep, no death and destruction. Yeah, why don't you go first? Yours sounds fun.
All right, let's have a good time. The origin of student debt.
Yay!
Now, this is definitely a modern day government secret because they don't want you to know that student debt, which for some people it crushes their lives, for some people it just disrupts their lives, and for some people it just sends them down a path they never would have gone, and maybe they view themselves as happy, but in fact, if they hadn't had this debt and this need to make money, they would have done something else and found their passion somewhere else. So it impacts a lot of lives, and the government doesn't want you to know it didn't used to always exist.
What? You mean the capitalists created a thing to screw us over and then they propagandize it? My favorite thing, and thank you, Mac Bluck, for your super chat. I love to when Americans defend it. Like, we should be giving these kids handouts. It's like, yes, you're defending keeping people in debt. Like, this is when regular Americans defend the kleptocracy.
Oh, yeah. I love when they're furious that someone gets health care. What's wrong with those teachers getting gold-plated health care?
Yeah.
It's like, shouldn't you just be like, that's awesome. Why don't we should get it too?
Yeah. Why don't we all get it?
Why don't we all get it rather than...
No, that's America. Everything's got to be a stupid competition and a fight rather than like, hey, this could be good for everybody. We just have to be mad at everything because we're all raised to just be in a team and fight, and our team better than your team.
Crush the other players. And we're like, this is society. There aren't other players. There's not another team. Crush them. But no, this is, you could just work together and be one team. The enemy needs to die. Like, it's.
Yeah. You know, if your neighbor gets free healthcare, it's actually better for your community. Like, if everyone's taken care of, it'll actually make your property value go up. Did you know that? Like, if all you care about is your own property value, if homeless people were all given homes and jobs, it would make your property value better. Did you know that? It would help you out.
Well, and not to mention that there's probably fairly wealthy people, like middle-class people, who have had family members or extended family members who have had their lives wrecked by healthcare costs, possibly died due to healthcare costs. So it doesn't just impact very poor people.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So, well, we're talking about student loan debt, and The Intercept a couple years ago did an article on the origin of student debt that very few people know about. One origin, and it kind of comes before what I'm going to be talking about is the Trilateral Commission and the Powell memo, which we've done segments on. They both say, there's a real problem. This is 60s, a lot of protests and stuff. There's a real problem here where people are becoming hyper educated. They're becoming too educated, and it's really making severe issues for those of us, the ruling elite, who want to be able to make the decisions and have no one question them. So that's what puts the seeds of thought into the ruling elite. And then in 1970, I should mention, we now have $1.6 trillion of student loan debt in America.
Yes.
In
we
1970,
number one, right? We better be number one in this.
Oh my God, by a mile, man. By a mile. That's like asking if Doja Cat is the best singer. By a mile, man.
Oh, so glad we're number one.
Number one. So in 1970, Ronald Reagan was running for re-election as governor of California. He had first won in 1966 with a confrontational rhetoric toward the University of California public college system, and executed confrontational policies while in office. In May 1970, Reagan had shut down all 28 UC and Cal State campuses in the midst of student protests against the Vietnam War and the U.S. bombing of Cambodia. Do not be against bombing innocent civilians, or we will shut down all of your schools.
Gotta love freedom of speech in the good old US of A.
You do. I love that every year we've had it, and every time they go to crush freedom of speech, a lot of people go, this is the first time this has happened.
Yep, I know. It's the crushing of freedom of speech that we just had in May when the college students were protesting. Yep. It's like, no, this is par for the course. I mean, this is how America deals with freedom of speech, is we crush it. We send nightsticks and tear gas. That's how we deal with freedom of speech.
This is how we be. This is how we be. October 29th, less than a week before his election, his education advisor, Roger Freeman, spoke at a press conference to defend him. Ironically, his name is Freeman. Freeman's remarks were reported in the next day in the San Francisco Chronicle under the headline, "Professor Sees Peril in Education." According to the Chronicle article, Freeman said, quote, "We are in danger of producing an educated proletariat." And he then says that's dynamite. He doesn't mean like the way we use dynamite now, where we're like, that's dynamite. He didn't mean dynamite. He meant...
He wasn't a big Jimmy J.J. Walker fan?
He wasn't a big J.J. Walker fan. No, he meant it's explosive and dangerous.
To have a bunch of educated people, that is a bad thing.
To have a smart proletariat is a real mess we've gotten ourselves into. He said we have to be selective on who we allow to go to college. If not, we will have a large number of highly trained and unemployed people, he said. And he said, that's what happened in Germany. I saw it happen.
So college is the fault. That's where Hitler was because of college.
Graham, you should know this. If you educate people, boom, Nazis. Just like that. Every educated person becomes a Nazi.
You can they use the knots for anything. Just like, if people start eating healthy, then that's what Hitler, he was a vegetarian, so everyone's a Nazi. Like what? That's not those.
Yeah, have you ever interviewed neo-Nazis? They all went to Stanford, Yale, Harvard, Cambridge.
Yes. All the Proud Boys, Oxford, all of them. University of Chicago. Yeah.
Every neo-Nazi is just Ivy League.
And multiple degrees, masters, PhDs.
They're all wearing salmon-colored pants and little dickies.
Just talking about defending their doctoral thesis, all of them. That's what they're doing.
My doctoral thesis about how non-white people smell funny. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem.
If I had a nickel. Freeman was born in 1904 in Vienna, Austria, and immigrated to the United States after the rise of Hitler. An economist who became a longtime fixture in conservative politics, he served on the White House staff during Eisenhower and Nixon. In 1970, he was seconded from the Nixon administration to work on Reagan's campaign. He was also a senior fellow at Stanford's conservative Hoover Institute. In one of his books, he believed to be he asked, can Western civilization survive what he believed to be excessive government spending on education and social security? Because that's really what's killing things. Instead of those things being kind of band-aids trying to prop up a dying system that eats itself, he viewed Social Security was what was really killing things.
Yeah, that's what's really gutting this country. It's not the crushing debt. It's not the
Dude, you ever been out on the sidewalks and seen those people just hunched over in a pile of their own puke? It's OD on Social Security.
Yes. It's not a for-profit healthcare system or any of that. No, it's
whacked out on Social Security.
Yeah, they just been sniffing Social Security all day, and yeah, that's right.
The problem is that like off-brand, back alley Social Security gets made in labs in China, and then it's shipped here secretly, and now you just have kids just dying every day.
Well, terrorists have been smuggling Social Security across our borders, Lee. This
in their rectums.
Yes, it's butthole Social Security smuggled across the border. It's Chinese terrorist butthole Social Security. That's why we have a homeless problem. And so
that was absolutely the name of my second album. Chinese. what was it again? Chinese terrorist.
Chinese
butthole
terrorist. Yes. Illegal alien Chinese terrorist butthole Social Security.
I've seen it 1,000. If I had a nickel. So
in my butthole with my Social Security.
Oh, you gotta love the 1970s, 80s Republicans. A core theme, and then eventually Democrats adopted all the same ideas. A core theme of Reagan's first gubernatorial campaign in 1966 was resentment towards California's public colleges, with Reagan repeatedly vowing to clean up this mess. Berkeley then was nearly free in 1966, nearly free to attend for California residents, and it had become a national center of organizing against the Vietnam War. Deep anxiety about this reached the highest levels of the U.S. government. John McCone, the head of the CIA, requested a meeting with Hoover, head of the FBI, to discuss, quote, communist influence at Berkeley, a situation that definitely required some corrective action.
Well, thank God the CIA and the FBI are involved in higher education. That's good.
Yeah, you gotta love the CIA and the FBI being like, we gotta stop these kids learning things.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex Das Liebe, who grew a third foot because of his insulin addiction.
And when they say needs corrective action, it's not a light corrective. It's not corrective lenses. It's when the CIA says they're going to correct something, back the fuck up.
Oh yeah. I mean, and again, it's one of these things we've talked about a million times. So they're all worried about, at the time in the 60s and 70s, they're all worried about, colleges going commie. Meanwhile, they're doing like all of the segments that we've discussed. They're doing MK Ultra. They're doing all of this like awful stuff. But no, the colleges, kids being too smart, that's the problem. They're doing Operation Paperclip, but the commies at Berkeley, those kids, that just want to run around without shoes and end war, that's the problem. Got it.
They're getting in the way of our freedom bombs.
Yeah, they are. They're totally stopping freedom bombs.
Ironically, this isn't in the article, but ironically, while they're losing their minds over the communist sympathizers at Berkeley because they don't want to bomb children, communism in many ways is to thank for the free education that the United States had. Now, this doesn't mean that I agree with everything about communism, but the reason for that is because the United States saw other countries giving their people education for free, and kind of in order to continue to have this capitalist utopia of ours, they needed to offer the people something so they wouldn't look at other countries and go, wait, they get education, wait, they get healthcare, wait, they get Social Security, wait, they get. And so they started, the New Deal and everything. They started giving people things like education and like Social Security and like restrictions on the amount you have to work and minimum wages and things to compete with communism. As at the same time, they were bombing the fuck out of communists. But
yeah, nice.
So Reagan pushed to cut state funding for California's public colleges, but did not reveal his ideological motivation. Rather, he said the state simply needed to save money.
Oh, yeah.
To cover the funding shortfall, Reagan suggested that California public colleges could charge residents tuition for the first time. He complained resulted in almost hysterical charge that this would deny educational opportunities to those of the most moderate means. This is obviously untrue. He said, we made it plain that tuition must be accompanied by adequate loans. So as long as you're taking the poor, putting them into debt that they can barely ever pay off, we'll have to work at jobs they hate just to be able to try and pay off this debt. As long as you're doing that, then it's the same as free. It's the same, pretty much.
I've heard many older Californians talk about this when there used to be California had this great state college system, the UC system and the Cal State system, and it was free. And then even when they started institute tuition, it was like $300 a year or something like that. And now California has really high tuition, like, everywhere else. And we can thank Reagan and the CIA. That's great.
Yeah, and I think that was the same with most colleges around the United States. It's not like any of them in the 1960s and 70s were like some kind of crazy amount of money. I was trying to see if I could find out how much it costed some other universities, but tuition in Virginia, University of Virginia in 1970 was $585. I don't know what that would be in today's dollars, but anyway, much lower than it is. So they weren't free, but they were far more affordable.
Well, today you're talking about some type of, for a 4-year degree, it's in the six figures. Total. There's no two ways about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the success of Reagan's attacks on California public colleges inspired conservative politicians across the U.S. They were like, hey, that's a terrible idea. Let's try it. That's how we do things here in the United States. We see an awful idea and we're like, let's get us some of that.
Oh, thank you, Matt Block.
We will always make the best decisions after we've made all the other decisions.
Hey, this will make a handful of us wealthy, but really screw over the regular working class Americans. I say we make this nationwide.
Yeah. So Nixon decried the success of Reagan's attacks California public colleges inspired it across the nation, and Nixon just decried the campus revolt. Spiro Agnew, as vice president, proclaimed that thanks to open admissions policies, quote, unqualified students are being swept into college on the wave of the new socialism.
Oh, they demonize socialism. This is just fantastic. And they keep working class people from getting educations and make it college only for the rich.
Well, and this whole idea of unqualified students getting swept into college, colleges have a way of deciding whether someone was unqualified when they first got in. They tend to fail out. So, yeah, I mean, it's like clearly these kids are graduating.
Yeah. Again, if they're just letting anybody in, they can let in whoever they want. Not everyone's going to graduate because most colleges are pretty challenging, and you have to I went to a country club college, University of Arizona, and it was tough. And I had to, I had to work hard to get a film degree and, and do sketch comedy and play lacrosse. It was really challenging.
But I'm sure the sketch comedy paid the big bucks, so you didn't really have to worry about the tuition.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm living the lavish life from sketch comedy and my professional lacrosse career. That's just been fantastic.
Oh, once that lacrosse money starts flowing in, Jesus.
When that sketch money and lacrosse money just starts pumping in, I mean, you're talking about 4-figure money. I mean, real solid,
solid $20, $30 money.
It's really huge.
Prominent conservative intellectuals also took up the charge. Privately, one worried that free education, quote, might be producing a positively dangerous class situation by raising the expectations of working class students. See, that's a problem. You get smart, and then you find yourself working at a shit job, and you're smart enough to go, I don't think this is right for me to be working at this shit job.
Well,
go ahead.
The problem is, Lee, is if you start educating people, then they might, and they see that there's upward mobility, then they might actually believe in the gold-plated lie of the American dream. That, oh, I go to school, I get it better. It's going to be better for me, and my kids are each generation's going to have it better. That's the American dream. I might find out that it's possible, and then you have to let them know that it's not, even though you dangle that carrot in front of them.
They might actually scratch at the surface of that gold-plated turd and find the ripe turd underneath.
Yeah. Huh. Look at that.
So another referred to college students as a parasite feeding on the rest of society. Yeah, anyone who's educated is a parasite who exhibited, quote, failure to understand and to appreciate the crucial role played by the reward-punishment structure of the market.
What words, what capitalist word salad, CIA funded, what does that even mean?
I think he's saying that these loser parasites are getting educated for free, and they don't even understand how much the market has done for them when it's not the market that has done something for them. It's, in fact, everything outside of the market that has done something for them.
And isn't a highly educated, highly trained workforce actually a good thing for a society to have, and actually becomes an export?
One would think. You don't think that this the chickens might come home to roost, I don't know, in the years 2020, 2030, when these people are older adults and they haven't been able to get educated?
No, it's not coming home to roost at all. Not the fact that like 90% of all PhD candidates are from other countries, because we're not producing people that can get PhDs. They're all coming from like Asia. Like, yep. India and Asia is like where 90% of the PhD candidates are coming. And then they're getting their educations here and going back to those countries and developing, tech startup entrepreneurs. And they're making all this money over there, and they're not doing it here. So it's been great for us. Thank you, Tony Clifton.
So this period was a clear turning point in America's policies toward higher education. For decades, there had been enthusiastic bipartisan agreement that states should fund high-quality public colleges, that their youth could receive higher education for free or nearly free. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
Bipartisan. Those were the days. That has now vanished. In 1968, California residents paid a $300 yearly fee to attend Berkeley, which is the equivalent of about $2,000 now. Now the tuition at Berkeley is $15,000, with total yearly student costs reaching about $40,000. Sink them into debt, man. Sink them into debt. Student debt, which had played a minor role in American life through the 1960s, increased during the Reagan administration and then shot up after 2007 to 2009 Great Recession as states made huge cuts to funding for their college systems. So there was, so this idea of charging people a bunch for college started in the 70s and 80s under Reagan, but it still wasn't the massive student debt that we now see. Two things are really responsible for that. One is, as they say, after the Great Recession, states started charging a lot more. But even before that, It was Joe Biden and his policies helping. He led the charge to make sure that students could not get out from under their student loan debt. That in most situations, if you are, $50,000 in debt and can't pay it off for 50 years, you can declare bankruptcy and get out from under it. But he led the charge to make to make it so that there was one exception to being able to declare bankruptcy: student loan debt.
It's why I always like fall out of my chair laughing when Republicans are like, Joe Biden's a socialist. I'm like, no, Joe Biden is to the right of Reagan. I mean, Joe Biden is like, he's backed up past and even done a better job with right-wing laws. I mean, as current acting president, he signed more drilling permits on public land than Trump did. Like, that's a fact. Yep. And somehow he's looked at as this like lefty hippie, which is part of the whole joke. Thank you, Fitz. This is, and then, you talk about the housing crisis. So at the beginning of this segment, you said it's roughly $1.5 trillion in student debt that Americans currently have. So there's so many ways we could pay for this. The 2008 housing crisis, between Bush and Obama, we gave $1.5 trillion in bailouts. We didn't prosecute anybody. There was still 6 million foreclosures that happened. We could have just given that money. I always think about this. You take that one. My accountant told me this after the housing crisis. He goes, Graham, all the stimulus money that Bush and Obama have put in there. He goes, he calculated. He goes, you could have given every American, I think it was like 70 grand. every working American could have got 70 grand. And what if, and remember there was like the car, the car industry collapsed at that time too. What if the government gave every working adult 70 grand and said, you have to use at least 50% of this money to get current on your mortgage and to pay off a car loan or buy a new car? That would have made the banks whole. It would have kept everybody in their homes. It would have helped out Detroit, and Americans would be like, cool. Instead, we gave it to these criminals on Wall Street, and now we're facing another bubble. We have all these other bubbles. It's just like,
but we have 1,000 billionaires.
Yes. New ones.
So there's that.
Yeah, we created, I think, 100 or 200 during COVID.
Yeah.
Thanks to Trump and Biden.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. And then you and I have talked about the F-35. The cost of the F-35 to research and development, this wasted bomber, is about $1.5 trillion. Then we could have just not done the wasteful F-35 and paid off everybody's student loans.
They probably could have given every American one F-35.
I don't need a full, I don't need a full one. I could use the little like smaller sedan, like hatchback version.
Sedan F-35. Yeah. I saw that one. Yeah.
I don't need the full like SUV one. I don't have kids, you know what I mean? So just the small one, so I can just sort of bomb my neighbors without a whole thing.
The sedan F-35, it's only got like 5 cup holders, so I'm a little iffy on that, but.
Well, you're married with a kid. I mean, you have a bigger family, so it's like you need. I'm just a single guy running around bombing people. So
listen, I'll take the $50,000 trash can that's on an F-35. They literally bought $50,000 trash cans for the F-35.
That is the sweetest trash can you've ever seen.
You wouldn't believe it. It actually, when you walk up to it, it knows your name. It says hello, and then as you're throwing out your trash, it blows you. So it's a pretty good.
Well, that's the thing. You just walk up to it and it just starts sucking you off while you're throwing trash away.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it's for the ladies too. It'll lick you. You know what I mean? If you're a chick, whatever. It's not sexist.
You don't need to draw a picture for us, Graham. We know how women are.
No, what I mean, like when you're going down.
Ladies, here's what's going to happen. All right. If you walk up to this trash can, I want everybody drop what you're doing. Get out a pen.
Everyone stop and visualize what I'm talking.
These are quality trash cans. That's all I'm saying. That's all. I'm just trying to say, look, this is a kid-friendly show. I'm just saying these are good trash cans.
These are good trash cans. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying it's money well spent. That's all I'm saying.
But So at the root of this, just to wrap it up, it comes down to the ruling elite being worried about an educated lower, not even lower class, just educated working class. And if the working class becomes that educated, guess what? They all decide to unite against the ruling elite that run things and destroy your entire life.
This
So
is the unique beauty of American empire fascism. Because in old school fascism, they would just like limit your education. But in American fascism, it has that great greedy capitalism behind it. So it's like, how can we keep the masses uneducated so they worship us and stick it to them financially to where we all profit? That's what America does so much better than old school dictators and empires. The old school.
Say with prisons, they used to just lock them up and not charge them to be in there. Like they weren't private prisons. It was just prison.
Yeah. America's like, how can we turn a nickel? How can I fist you and make you pay for me fisting you and keep you in debt while I'm fisting you?
When you say fisting, can you be a little more detailed as to what that looks like?
So Lee, imagine if this is your right in there. Okay, so just everybody picture that, and then my fist.
Are there any graphic novel writers out there that could help us
let's get real close on the camera.
Just zoom in the camera right there,
and then this fist.
For those listening to the podcast, you really missed out.
Thank you, Fitz. FHA subsidized private schools. Yes. All right. Well, is that your segment then, buddy?
That's what I got.
Outstanding. That was Lee Camp's uplifting student loan debt. Segment number 1. Remember, Americans, if you want to be a good patriot, get some student loan debt and don't get smart. That's bad for America. Lee, I kind of felt like I felt a little nostalgic today when I was waking up thinking of segments. And I was like, you know what? There's no way I've talked about every accidental bombing or lost nuke. There's no way. And I feel like I know we have some Canadian.
Is it because you just have your Google search pre-populated with U.S. loses nuke, and then you don't want to have to type something new?
I just get lost nuke updates just sent to me.
Google alerts for lost nukes.
It's in my calendar. It's like, you have an appointment today at 3:00 and there's a lost nuke you haven't talked about.
Yeah.
Well, part of it is I want our fans to, this government sequence, we always focus on the United States and what the United States done that is evil. And we absolutely have. And this is a United States Air Force story. But I don't think it's fair to our Canadian fans if we don't talk about the times we've really screwed them over, and Canada has the ultimate misfortune of having the worst neighbor. So
yep.
I want to talk about a 1950 in the great province of Quebec, the Rivière du Loup. This is a French word. I can't pronounce it. B-50 nuclear weapon loss incident, of course. This was a loss of a nuclear weapon near the Rivière du Loup, Quebec, Canada, during the fall of 1950. Let's roll the clock back, Lee, to our
picture a simpler time.
Picture a simpler time with a stream of B-50 bombers in formation. The returning one of several U.S. Mark IV nuclear bombs secretly deployed at Goose Air Force Base in Labrador, a U.S. Air Force Boeing a B-50 Super Fortress had engine trouble, and oh God, this is so great.
It's because they were spending too much time on the trash can,
right? So this happened. Rivière du Loup was approximately 300 miles or 460 kilometers northeast of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And the flight origin was from Goose Air Force Base, and its destination was for Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, which is in Tucson, Arizona. I went to college in Tucson. So there were Goose Air Force Base is in Goose Bay, and it's a Canadian Forces base located in the municipality of Happy Valley, Goose Bay, in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. It is operated as an Air Force base by the Royal Canadian Air Force, but of course, United States gets to bring its bombers there. So, just to give some background, we were routinely flying B-50s from Canada. So I want Canadians to feel safe and secure knowing that American nukes are being flown over cities like Montreal.
Yeah, no, we don't like avoid flying over any areas with nukes.
Why? Why would we? So the Boeing F-50 Super Fortress was having engine trouble, and it jettisoned the weapon at 10,500 feet. The crew set the bomb to self-destruct at 2,500 feet and released it over the St. Lawrence River. The non-nuclear explosion shook area residents and scattered nearly 100 pounds of radioactive uranium U-238 used in the weapon's tamper. The plutonium core, or pit as it's called, which is the key component for nuclear reaction and detonation, was not installed in the bomb at the time. Oh, cool. So it's just radioactive waste. It's not like the full nuke. You know what I mean?
There you go. What are you complaining about?
Everybody gets all bent out of shape. It's like a little radioactivity sprinkling down from the sky above, a major metropolitan area. And but the other thing too, it's like it wasn't right near Montreal and it went into a river. So what's the worst thing about radioactivity getting into a water supply? Like
river water is not used for anything, honestly. It just goes away.
Well, the thing I love about river water, it just stops where it is. It's not like rivers spread and feed.
Yeah, stationary rivers. You've seen them. They just sit there.
They just sit there. They're just like a series of above ground pools that just happen to be connected, but they don't flow anywhere. That's basically what a river is. So this, like I said, nearly 100 pounds of radioactive uranium. So it was not installed at the time. The core, of course, the key component, was not installed. The absence of the core probably was because of the high cost and relative scarcity at the time. Standard U.S. Air Force Base protocol prohibited any aircraft carrying a nuclear device to land with the device in the aircraft if it was experiencing engine problems. It had to be jettisoned.
What's going on here? So if they start having engine problems, just jump out of the jet with nukes on board?
No, just jettison the nuke.
Oh, jettison the nuke.
Yeah.
Where?
Oh, who gives a shit? Whatever. We're in Canada. Who gives? Not my problem.
So I'm trying to figure out the idea behind this. Is it that you won't be bringing a nuke onto a military base and accidentally nuke the base? Or...
Probably. That's the main thing. Like,
so you'll just nuke a suburb somewhere?
Yeah, fuck them. They're suburbs. What do they care? You know what I mean? It's just a river or suburb. Who gives a shit? So that's, again, this is the thing I love about these nuke. We uncover in these government secrets how like horribly flawed the safeguard system that is in place. Like they're starting with an awful like system, and then that is bad. So like they don't even their safeguard is like, well, we can't land with if it's having engine trouble and then try to secure the nuke. We just got to drop it somewhere else. So like on paper, they have a horrible plan.
Right.
So that when it goes bad, it goes even worse.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it all started with the whole, like, let's just put a big metal thing up in the air with a nuclear device, probably. That's poor choice step one.
Feels like it.
But then once so in their decision making, they're like, okay, so the plane's not working. What do we do with the nuke? Well, if it lands with the nuke, it very well might go off. So we don't want it showing up at our base. So just toss it. It's an amazing thought process.
If you just chuck it in a river, then we're not to blame. Then it just looks like some fish were smoking weed or doing meth or something. I don't know. They were playing with fireworks or something. And we just look like it was a bunch of fish in a river having some sort of EDM festival with a bunch of glow sticks and
rivers often spontaneously explode
with radioactive material.
Yeah.
That only the United States Air Force is allowed to have. That happens all the time in rivers.
All the time.
Yeah.
If I had a nickel.
And again, it's like, yeah, plus it's Canada, fuck them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I mean,
it's Canada. You're not going to miss much anything from Canada.
What are we going to lose? Another couple of hockey players? Who gives a shit? Like, like the United States military does not care about the United States citizenry at all, as we've demonstrated. They've blown up all kinds of shit all throughout the United States. We've talked about on this show.
We did a segment on the 200 times that they've unleashed chemical weapons across the United States, or germ warfare across the United States, in order to test what it would do to Americans.
Yeah, we talked about the time they blew up a whole like armory got blown up in Texas, like a stone's throw from a school. We talked about that one. We've talked about all the times so if they don't care about American citizens, they really don't care about anybody else's citizens. Like we double don't give a shit about Canada's citizens.
Yeah.
So we're going to drop this thing. So
Ron Placone wants to know if the Maxis are playing.
Ron Placone.
I don't even know what that means.
Ron is a Bitcoin and crypto holder who judges me because I am what's known as a Bitcoin maximalist. And
oh God, I'm already half asleep. What's a maximalist?
We're just Bitcoiners who believe Bitcoin is its own. Bitcoin is like digital gold, and all the other cryptocurrencies are called altcoins. And we believe Bitcoin is the superior one because it's truly decentralized. Ron brought this up. I did not bring up Bitcoin.
And the altcoins are garbage. Yeah, I've heard that before.
Okay. Ron brought this up. I'm not to blame for bringing up Bitcoin during this podcast.
No, you're still to blame. You're still for knowing Ron. This is your fault.
It is true. Knowing Ron is Ron, having Ron as a friend, it's like the U.S. Air Force. Like it's the lost nuke of friendships.
So does that mean Ron's like big into Dogecoin or something? Like what?
Ron is probably buying some sort of obscure punk band's NFT is what he's doing.
And you have no idea what that's going to be worth in a couple of weeks.
Ron moved to a city because of a band is from there, the Minutemen. Have you ever heard of the Minutemen?
No.
There we go. Thank you, Ron Placone.
Oh, I think I did hear about them. Someone talking about how amazing they were, and then I listened to 30 seconds and I wanted to kill myself. But...
See, Ron, I'm not crazy, Ron Placone. You are. This is fantastic. Thank you, Lee Camp, for finally defending me, even though Ron Placone brought up Bitcoin. So as I said, standard U.S. Air Force protocol prohibited any aircraft carrying a nuclear device to land with the device. If the aircraft was experiencing engine problems, it had to be jettisoned. Per standard protocol, again, a horrifying standard protocol, the plutonium trigger was always removed prior to flight and shipped separately to prevent accidental nuclear activation. So again, obviously activating a nuclear weapon, that's really bad. Scattering some radioactive uranium, you know what I mean? Come see, come saw, you know what I mean? 6 in 1. That's okay.
I mean, like Poutine can't get any worse. So a little radioactivity might help, might spice it up.
I would have poutine if it was radioactive. I would absolutely eat it. As long as it's like gluten-free, free-range radioactivity, then I would.
I'm on everyone's shit list this show. I'm trashing the Minutemen and poutine. I'm losing all my key demographics.
The Minutemen poutine demographic.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a website dedicated to that.
Just to that. Just to Minutemen poutine.
So at the time of the incident, the aircraft was returning from Goose Air Force Base to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. The troubled aircraft successfully diverted to Loring Air Force Base in Maine. Now, here we get into the secret. The incident was immediately covered up at the time, and they explained it as a 500-pound military practice bombs being detonated.
That's it. That's what every nuke they've ever dropped was. It was a practice bomb. All of them. They've all been practice bombs.
Again, this is the insanity of the United States Air Force. So you're one of these citizens near this river in Quebec that gets blown up, and you're like, and they go, hey, it was just a practice bomb. Well, that sounds awful. Why are you dropping practice bombs, you psychopaths?
Canadian citizens. I mean, they do have a point. My 2-year-old shat on the carpet and he called it a practice shit. So I think there's some truth here.
You know, if you have sex with someone outside of your marriage, you can say, I was just a practice sex. It wasn't, and I wasn't cheating on you.
Exactly. There's no cheating. It's practice.
I was practicing to be better in bed with you, my lovely partner. I was practicing.
Absolutely.
That makes sense to me. Wouldn't you feel better if you lived near this river in Quebec that was bombed with radioactive material going, oh, it was just a practice bomb. So you guys are practicing on.
No, we're about just practicing. Why would you practice with radioactivity? If you were dropping a dummy bomb, why make it radioactive?
You know, I have an automatic weapon that I was just shooting off my balcony, and the cops came and I said, I wasn't trying to kill. I was just practicing. I was just practicing. And they were like, oh, no worries. No worries. So that was the big cover up. It wasn't revealed. Hold on. Let me get this. It wasn't until the 1980s that the Air Force confirmed it had been a nuclear incident. So, you know, just a good 3 decades of lying. And again, the lie is awful. The practice bomb is awful. If that's actually what they did, they just dropped practice bombs. That's insane. But no, so the thing that they admitted to, which was a lie, is insane. The actual thing is even more horrifying.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how America treated its Canadian neighbors in 1950 by dropping a practice bomb in Quebec in a river. Boop, 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 boop. Thanks, Canada. We appreciate you.
It actually explains a lot about Canadians, I feel like.
Yeah. They've been drinking a lot of practice bomb water for
Luckily, when the U.S. military said we dropped a semi-quasi-inactive nuke on you, the Canadians just said, we're sorry. And that was the end of it. So.
It's like the levels of evil insanity that the United States practices. Like you said, from the jump, we're flying nukes around in a tube in an airplane, a thing that's not safe, that could crash, that could experience engine trouble, could get caught in a storm.
God. And in 1950s, airplanes were like the go-karts made out of a wooden crate of oranges, like that a kid drives in a race. Like that's what they were. It was just that with wings. It was just
where one of the tires just kind of speels off.
Yeah, it was a wobbly tire, and yeah. A steering wheel made out of string cheese. It was a rough time.
The tire passes the driver. Oh no! Like
on a plane, when the tire passes you on a plane, you've got a serious problem.
The propeller just goes ahead of you. Oh boy, we better jettison this nuke. Like
most of what the Pentagon was doing in the 1950s was Wile E. Coyote based.
And as the bomb's dropping, they're just yelling out the side, don't worry, it's just a practice bomb.
Practice bomb, ho!
Practice bomb, ho!
So as it rattles, the boards are coming unnailed.
Go, 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 go. as like all these fish get like nuked and just boom, and it's just like cows are dying from the radioactivity. Just a practice bomb. Drink your milk.
Then you see the nuked fish pass you in the plane.
Oh boy. That is the United States Air Force in all of its glory, Lee Camp, protecting its citizen and its neighbor to the north.
All right,
Oh.
folks, we are headed over to do an extra segment on Patreon, patreon.com/government secrets. And just a quick reminder, this is the last episode for a month. So miss us a lot.
Miss us a lot. And again, if you're new to Patreon, we're going to do it live right now in a couple minutes, but you can, whenever you join Patreon, all 60 some bonus segments get unlocked for you. It's as little as $5 a month. You can get merch if you want to do that. And we will be releasing during the month of August, the live show from Los Angeles at the Crow Theater, which was a blast. And so you will all get to hear that in the next couple of weeks.
Yes, indeed.
Lee, where can people find you online?
You can go to leecamp.com to find a lot of my stuff, but I live stream 4 days a week on YouTube and Rumble. I started a new comedy playlist of my comedy videos, and that's leecamp.com/comedy. So yeah, check it out.
Well, thanks everybody. Go to grahamelwood.com. If you're going to be in Bangkok, August 23rd and 24th, I'm headlining the Comedy Joint. Go to grahamelwood.com, and I'll be doing more podcasts. Of course, my show, Political Vigilante, I'm definitely taking it more in the Bitcoin direction. And I might start to do more sort of travel stuff because I'm going to be traveling through Asia for 3 weeks. I'm going to go to Cambodia and all over the place. So I'll be doing some travel videos while I'm there and interviewing people and going to some Bitcoin meetups and all this cool stuff while I'm there, going to temples. I'm a big Buddhist, so I'm going to check all that out. And go to grahamelwood.com. And thank you for watching Government Secrets, episode 166. Student loan debt is American as dropping a nuke in Canada.
All right. See you in a few minutes.
Thanks, everybody.
Later.